Okay, namaskara to all of you and welcome to our next session on the yogic life. So last class we started this pravachan, what is dharma, right? So we actually in this pravachan we'll be discussing ideas that we have actually talked earlier. Uh, so human beings, like all living beings, seek happiness, right? Happiness, every being actually seeks happiness. This is not limited only to human beings, but it extends to all living beings, whether they are one-celled creatures, worms, cats, dogs, or anything else. Every being wants happiness. However, what we found is that the search for happiness differs between humans and animals. Animals are satisfied by limited things, a full stomach and a safe place to sleep. They are quite happy. But human beings, even after satisfying these limited desires, have an ongoing yearning for something more, right? They keep on like planning and thinking, and this search ultimately knows no end, right? Regardless of the area of life. So this unending desire is the prominent and unique characteristic of a human being. Our desires cannot be satisfied by something limited. They can only be satisfied something limitless. So we ultimately find that there is only one entity that is limitless, the cosmic entity. This infinite entity, which is an Adi, Anant Satta, without a beginning or end, and beyond the scope of time, place, and person, is the only entity that can satisfy the human desire for the infinite. Right? So that is the cosmic entity, is the only entity that is limitless, that is Anadi and Anant, and only that entity can satisfy the human desire for infinite. So in the first paragraph we saw that human beings are the highest evolved beings, meaning there is no higher being than humans in this entire universe, right? They are the most developed. This is because, as we've discussed before, yoga and modern science work very, very closely. Although the modern science does not see the entire picture, whereas yoga does. So the relevant portion over here is the Darwinian evolution. All beings evolve through a struggle, and the mind also evolves constantly. For example, the wild animals struggle to survive, and this struggle leads to the mind's gradual progress and evolution. So after many lifetimes of struggle, an animal's mind evolves to a point where it gets a more developed body that can accommodate higher functions. So one might think that human beings would continue evolving similarly, but they don't, right? The fulfillment of the creation comes through the evolution to the point of human beings. So human beings have a desire to know the eternal, the infinite entity from which they emerged. This quality is sufficient for fulfilling the entire universe's purpose, right? The purpose of the universe is fulfilled by that the human beings have the desire to know the eternal. Actually, this whole Srishti is Leela of Paramapurusha, right? It is a Leela of Paramapurusha. So human beings, when they reach the stage of human beings in the process of evolution, and they are the most evolved beings, and they have the right kind of mind to progress further and to attain the infinite. And with attaining the infinite, the whole Srishti Chakra comes to, the purpose of the Srishti Chakra is accomplished, right? So human beings, they are most evolved. They possess a clearly reflected consciousness, unlike animals, right? So when we say clearly reflected consciousness, what do we mean by that? So I actually mentioned that when you have a puddle of water in the night, on a full moon night, if you have a puddle of water, and if the puddle of water is clean, you can see the moon, reflection of the moon, very clearly on the puddle of the water. So if you think the puddle of the water as the mind, as the mental plate, then the moon as the Chaitanyam, the Chaitanyam's reflection on the mental plate is clearly reflected on the mental plate. If the mental plate is clean, then the Chaitanya is clearly reflected. So the human beings have that potential. They possess that clearly reflected consciousness. They're not able to realize that because of the malina, the dirt that is there on the mind, the ashuddhis that are there in the mind. If the mental plate is very clean, like the puddle of the water, if it is very clean, then Paramapurusha's reflection is clearly seen on the mental plate, unlike animals, right? So because we have this clearly reflected consciousness, so this allows human being to be aware of their existence, also know what is right and wrong, and have an infinite, above all, have an infinite desire for the knowledge and fulfillment, right? So this clearly reflected consciousness also gives humans the capability to realize the supreme entity, to realize Paramapurusha. Right? It is because of this clearly reflected consciousness that we have this infinite desire. So that is what we talked in the first paragraph. And then moving on to the second paragraph, we said that people are attracted to the physical enjoyments, right? They're attracted to physical enjoyments. They amass wealth, they seek power, position. They're never satisfied. If they get little, they want more, right? They get more, they want some more, right? So they're never satisfied. So if somebody, whether it is in the area of position, power, wealth, acquisition of wealth, position, power, does not satisfy a person. The desire for more is limitless and infinite. So this paragraph discusses that the human beings have an inherent desire for the infinite. When the mind is not elevated, it seeks. See, the human beings have this infinite desire, and if the mind is, as I was saying, is not shuddham, is not elevated, then it seeks the infinite in the physical enjoyments. It applies the same desire for infinite in the physical enjoyments, and then leading to a vicious cycle of acquiring limited resources. This pursuit of worldly possessions can never fulfill the infinite desires of the mind. So this paragraph actually relates to all our earlier discussions of the innate desire for the infinite, which is the manava dharma. That is the unique characteristic of human beings, to seek the infinite. It illustrates that people with unlimited quest for happiness will never be satisfied with limited wealth, power, prestige, position, or whatever it may be. Even the greatest worldly acquisitions, such as the entire globe, cannot provide infinite or permanent satisfaction. All of these finite things are all transient. They can never provide you permanent satisfaction. So since the world and its objects are all finite, they cannot provide infinite happiness. So this paragraph emphasizes that worldly pursuits can never satisfy the infinite desires of human. We need to seek something more, something eternal and infinite, to achieve everlasting happiness, right? So I think this concept is clear. So let us move further. So we started with the third paragraph. So let us read the third paragraph one more time, and then move forward. So Pushpalata Bhagini, do you want to read?
Bhagini. The cosmic entity alone.
The third paragraph. From third paragraph.
Okay. However dignified or lofty the achievement, it fails to set at rest people's unlimited quest for happiness. Those who hanker after wealth will not be satisfied until they can obtain unlimited wealth. Nor will the seeker of power, position, and prestige be satisfied until he or she can get these in limitless proportions. As all these are objects of the world. The world itself is finite and cannot provide infinite objects. Naturally, therefore, the greatest worldly acquisition, even if it be the entire globe, would not secure anything of an infinite and permanent character. What then is that infinite eternal thing which will provide everlasting happiness. So whatever we have tried to achieve, whether it is material or wealth or health, it possession, we fail, it failed to see, to to see, give the needs of the people. Still the people are having, or in a quest for happiness, and this, they want unlimited happiness. So they will, they don't get satisfied by the property or the material wealth or any wealth. They want unlimited happiness, and this can be secured. This cannot be secured because the world or the globe is only an infinite object by the finite object. So they go in search for something infinite, for which it is limitless. And now we have to see what provides us that everlasting happiness. This paragraph tells that.
Yes,
Shall I
Bhagini.
read this paragraph?
Yeah. Once again, Bhagini, very nicely said. Thank you so much. So yes, that is what is the idea. It is kind of extending on the second paragraph. So no matter how much our wealth, power, position we have, we never get satisfied. There is a desire for more, right? Any area for that matter, whether it is food or whether it is clothes or shoes or house or wealth, whatever it may be, we are always wanting more, right? And the only reason is that because human beings have this infinite desire, and we are trying to search for this infinite desire in the material things, and in the material things we never get satisfied fully, because these are all finite things, right? No matter how many ever you have of these, but can never give you lasting happiness. And therefore human beings remain unsatisfied with all these material things. So they fall into this vicious cycle of acquiring more and more of these limited resources. So so that means these things cannot provide us the infinite happiness. So what is it that can provide us this infinite happiness? That is what we need to speak. So moving forward, so uh, Hamsini Bagni, do you want to read the next paragraph? The cosmic entity alone is infinite and eternal.
The cosmic entity alone is infinite and external. It alone is
Eternal.
limitless.
Eternal.
Oh, eternal. It alone is limitless, and the eternal longing of human beings for happiness can only be satiated by realization of the infinite. The ephemeral nature of worldly possessions, power, and position can only lead one to conclusion that none of the things of the finite and limited world can set at rest the everlasting urge for happiness. Their acquisition merely gives rise to a further longing. Only realization that infinite can do. The infinite can be only one, that is the cosmic entity. Hence it is the only cosmic entity that can provide everlasting happiness, the quest for which is the characteristic of every human being. In reality, behind this human urge is the hidden desire, the longing for attainment of the cosmic entity. It is the very nature of every living being. This alone is the Dharma of every person.
Okay, what did you understand, Bhagini?
Human beings have a longing for the infinite.
Yeah, so basically what we do is whatever is there in the paragraph, you can just take line by line and try to explain what you understood, right? The cosmic entity alone is infinite, eternal. So like that, you can take each line and then try to explain what you understood.
Okay. The cosmic entity alone is the infinite and external.
Eternal.
It, eternal.
Mhm.
I think the cosmic entity is the only thing that is like everlasting.
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't have a limit or an end. It just continues.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the eternal longing of human beings for happiness can only be satiated by the realization of the infinite. Every human being has a desire for happiness, but it can only be satisfied after they realize the infinite.
Mm-hmm. Which is the cosmic entity.
Yeah, the cosmic entities. The
Mm-hmm.
what is the word?
Ephemeral means the transient nature of the worldly possessions. Transient means the worldly possessions, they're all anitya. They're not permanent, right?
Oh.
Whatever you have today may not last tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
So everything, so like even your prized possession, like a house, you have a house, you might be thinking that the house is going to be there forever, but then in a minute, if there is an earthquake, the whole house can just come down, right? So like that, everything in this world is transient. Any worldly possession that we have is transient. So you might be having money today, but tomorrow that money can be lost, right? You have
Mhm.
all your money in the stock market, and this money can completely get lost. So every object in this world is not permanent, right? Whether it is worldly possessions, power, position, and nothing is permanent. That's what is said over here. Yeah, go ahead.
Um, their mere acquisition, their acquisition merely gives rise to further longing. Longing, only realization of the infinite can do it. A human beings, when they're not, the worldly possessions don't satisfy their needs, so it only results in a cycle of more longing, not
Mm-hmm.
any fulfillment. And
Mm-hmm.
once they realize the cosmic entity, that can they satisfy what their happiness and their
Mm-hmm.
wants would be. The infinite can only be one, and that is the cosmic entity. Hence, it is the only cosmic entity that can provide everlasting happiness. The infinite is only the cosmic entity. That is why when that's why the cosmic entity is the only thing that can satisfy someone's needs, not anything. There's
Mm-hmm.
not like two options. It's only like that one thing that can.
Mm-hmm.
The quest for which is the characteristic of every human being. In reality, it is behind this human urge. Behind this human urge is a hidden the desire, the longing for attainment of the cosmic entity. The the essence of every human being is that they have a wanting for attaining the cosmic entity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it is the very nature of every living being. This alone is the dharma of every person. So I think that every living being, like every characteristic of a living being is to like long. I don't know how to put into
Is
it.
to attain that infinite. So where with the
Yeah.
word dharma, right? The unique characteristic of a human being, that is what we call as dharma. So why is it the unique characteristic of human being? Is because when you compare, we have actually seen this in the previous classes as well. So when you compare the human beings with animals, the what is it that distinguishes human beings from animals? Because animals, they have the desire to eat, procreate, sleep, ahara, nidra, bhayam, fear. They have that, and those qualities are there in human beings as well, because we also eat, we also procreate, we also sleep, and we also have the fear, right? So those are all qualities are there in both humans and animals. So but then what is it that distinguishes human beings from animals is that we have this unique quality of the longing for the infinite, right? We want to seek the infinite, we want to seek that paramatma, right? So Bagni, do you have Sanskrit background? Sanskrit
I'm
Bagni?
I'm only learning Sanskrit now because uh I'm I started learning Sanskrit when I was in eighth eighth grade, and now I'm in ninth grade.
You're in ninth grade. Okay, there is you actually explained it so beautifully, Bagini. It was very beautiful, right? You explained it very beautiful. I'm only trying to. I'm just going to help you understand the word dharma, right? Which may be new to you, right? So yeah, you've heard this dharma word
Yeah,
before, right?
yeah.
Okay. So that dharma is basically the unique quality of a human being. So essentially every human being wants to seek that infinite entity. That infinite entity is, we're going to see further what that infinite entity is. That infinite entity is Parama Purusha, Paramatma, right? Paramatma. That Paramatma, you understand the word Paramatma, right?
Loosely.
Yeah, okay, we'll be talking about a lot more in our pravachans later on, but the unique quality of every human being is to seek that infinite entity, right? We don't realize that we what we do is we try to find happiness in all the worldly possessions, right? In the worldly possessions we try to find happiness, but we never get a permanent happiness, because the worldly possessions are all they're all limited. They're all limited. Like for instance, if you think about wealth, right, there is a limited amount of money in this world, right? It is not infinite. The amount of money that is there in the world is, we can count it, so that it is limited. So that limited possession, anything limited, can never satisfy, can never give us the unlimited happiness, because we want unlimited. We want something, we want unlimited happiness, and that unlimited happiness can never be obtained from these worldly possessions, whether it is money, whether it is clothes, whether it is shoes, or whether it be anything else in this world, any material object that cannot give you permanent happiness. The only thing that can give you permanent happiness is this cosmic entity. What is that cosmic entity? We'll be seeing that in the further paragraph. This alone is the dharma of every person, right? Actually, your explanation was very, very beautiful. You did a very, very good job. So there is only one dharma for all, right? See, this is very, very important. When we talk about this word dharma everywhere, we hear this word dharma everywhere, right? People say, this is my dharma, this is not my dharma, right? But we need to understand what this word dharma is, right? The key point over here is that every human being, we have the same dharma. It is not that you have a different dharma and I have a different dharma. There are not various dharmas, but there is only one dharma. This paragraph, you know, very clearly highlights that and beautifully explains that, right? We are all members of the same human family, and the characteristics or the fundamental dharma is the desire to know the infinite. Only one entity can be infinite. There cannot be multiple entities, there cannot be multiple infinite entities. If, right, there is only one entity that can be infinite, and the idea of duality, such as god and devil, is all a misconception. Only one entity can be infinite. If there were two, they could not both be infinite. So only one entity in this whole entire universe and beyond can be infinite, and that is that cosmic entity. So the desire for the infinite is what makes us human beings. This desire is the reason there cannot be higher evolved beings than human beings. So human beings are the only ones who possess this desire for the infinite. So we possess the highest capacity necessary for bringing fulfillment and meaning to the universe, the desire to know the cosmic entity. So we are the only ones who have this capacity to know the infinite. So it is by the grace of Parama Purusha or Paramatma that we have the opportunity to not only have the human form, but also to fulfill it by leading a human life. So we can become both human inside and outside. So it is a very, very beautiful thing. So it is our duty to fulfill this purpose. So that is why we have taken this birth, right? That is what we mean by apavarga. Apavarga, you'll be hearing this word apavarga. Apavarga means excuse me, apavarga means liberation from the cycle of birth and death. And we also have a duty towards jagat kalyan. We also have a duty to serve the society, the welfare of the world, right? By helping others realize their true potential, we can create an environment of positivity and growth. So what we mean is that the duty of every human being, we have the duty of every human being is to seek the infinite. How we can seek the infinite is atma moksha and jagat hit. Two things. One is self liberation and helping the society. When you help the society, then it creates an environment of positivity and growth, not only for yourself but also for the other people. So when we actually spend time with other people, we should assess whether we can elevate the conversation and make it meaningful for both the parties, or it will degenerate. So everything that we have learned over here in our yoga sessions, right, about food and every different things, we should, wherever possible, when we get an opportunity, we should try to help other people, right? Even if it can be small things, right, like food, right? When you see people eating wrong things, and you see some people are becoming obese, when you have an opportunity in terms of like a friendly conversation, you can always try to get into a conversation and try to elevate the people's thoughts, remove misunderstandings, remove wrong understandings, and make it very meaningful for both the parties, right? So that is what how we should interact with other people. We should engage with those whom we can inspire and uplift, right? While we can actually try this with everyone, but once we see that it is not going in the positive direction, then we should not waste our time, right? Because life is very, very short, right? So our sincere effort should be to help others become truly human in the human form, not animals in the animal form. First is that we should know what our dharma is. We should know what our dharma is. Once we understand what our dharma is, then we should also help others realize their true potential, and so that we can create an environment of positivity and growth. So it is actually a beautiful opportunity to realize our full potential, which is to seek the infinite and also help others to do the same, right? So okay, so yeah, that is what I wanted to say. So we see, on one hand we have evolved from animals, and therefore we have some of the qualities of animals within us, like, no doubt. At the same time, we are also different from animals, and there can be no question about that. We are unique, right? We have this urge to know the infinite, which the animals do not have, and our entire existence, either knowingly or unknowingly, is governed by this desire for the infinite. So when we've been talking about clearly reflected consciousness, right, it's very similar to what we've discussed, right? I talked about the puddle of water on the full moonlight, so you can see the reflection in the water. So similarly, the mind of a human being is sufficiently developed, then it provides within it a reflection of the infinite entity. Animals also have the reflection. Animals also have the reflection of the infinite entity, but it is not clearly reflected. So this clearly reflected is very, very important, right? So the consciousness is not clearly reflected in animals, whether it is the mind of an ant or leopard, a tiger or a monkey, whereas the consciousness of human beings is completely is clearly reflected, and therefore we are attracted towards that infinite entity. Animals, they don't get attracted, whereas human beings get attracted because of this consciousness, or because of this chaitanya, right? Which is the cosmic entity. So those human beings who are able to experience that because their internal eyes have opened, become attracted to that. So when you come to know about what your dharma is, what the human dharma is, then you become attracted towards that cosmic entity, not otherwise not, right? Your eyes, inner eyes, have to be open. So that is what we call as the longing for the cosmic entity. So we're saying longing for the cosmic entity. Longing for the cosmic entity is that when your eyes have been opened, you are attracted to that entity, right? So that is what is being said over here. So any questions so far? Anything not clear? Okay, so moving on, Bhagini, this one, Pushpalata Bhagini, do you want to take the next paragraph?
Bhagini. The word dharma signifies property. The English word for it is nature, characteristic, or property. The nature of fire is to burn or produce heat. It is a characteristic or property of fire, and it is also termed the nature of fire. Similarly, the dharma or nature of a human being is to seek the cosmic entity. Now, what is actually the word dharma? It signifies some property or characteristic or the nature of a human being. So the nature of human being which is different from the other creatures, whether it is animals or plants, is that he goes in search of in the infinite desire. As the nature of fire is to produce it, or its characteristic is to burn things, or property is of fire is to burn or to give heat. Similarly, the dharma or the nature of a human being is to seek the cosmic entity which gives us unlimited happiness and to seek the infinite.
Okay, very nice, Bhagini, nicely explained. Thank you so much. So this word dharma, as I was saying, this dharma word, dharma is very, very important. We have to understand this concept very clearly. This term has to be understood properly, right? Dharma means property, right? So in English you can call it as nature, characteristics, or property, right? So when you look at water, what is the property of water? Is to make things wet, right? That is the property of water. So that property is very unique to water. Wherever you are able to make something wet, you immediately understand that there is water. So similarly, where the nature of fire is to burn or to produce heat, right? So if anything cannot produce heat, or if anything cannot burn, then we cannot call it as fire, because that is the unique characteristic of fire. So in the same way, the unique characteristic of a human being, what is the unique characteristic? That unique characteristic, the quality of burning in fire is the dharma of fire, right? The quality of making things wet in water is the dharma of water. So similarly, what is the dharma of human beings? What is the unique characteristic in a human being? That is to seek the cosmic entity, that is to seek the infinite entity, right? So this explanation of dharma has to be very, very clear. It is very important to understand what this dharma means, right? One thing I want to clarify is that people think dharma means religion. No, it is not religion. Some people think dharma is duty, right? So some people in other places may define it differently, but what we need to understand is that dharma means it is the same for every human being. It is not different. It's not your dharma is different, my dharma is different. No, it is the same for every human being. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with one's duty. It has to do something with universal and beyond the scope of time, place, and person. It is common to all beings. It is common to all human beings, right? It has nothing to do with family one is born into. It has nothing to do with anything limited. It is the universal characteristic common to all human beings and not applicable to non-human beings. So from this yoga sessions, one thing that you should always remember is what is the dharma. Dharma of a human being is to seek the infinite, is to attain that infinite, is the dharma of human beings. That is the unique quality of human beings. This is a very, very deep concept, worthy of lifelong endeavor to fully realize it, right? The dharma or nature of human beings is to seek the cosmic entity. This is a very, very profound statement with profound reflections and implications on all aspects of human existence, and it requires understanding, right? We need to understand it. So I cannot emphasize enough the glory of this word and its implications for everything we do, from the things we have talked so far, like food we eat, the meditation sadhana, to how we interact with other people, to how we recognize ourselves as a society, to how we structure everything in life, from the schools our children go to how we should spend our time and our free time, right? Everything is governed by this concept of dharma, right? How should we think, how should we sleep, how to spend our time, and how much money we need. Everything is defined by this, is governed by this concept of dharma, and it will guide our lives in every aspect. Because if this dharma is very clear to us that our goal of life is to seek the infinite, then we will rearrange everything in our life to move in that direction. We will channelize everything else in our life, so that we can move in the direction of seeking the infinite. So if you don't understand what this concept of dharma is, then there is no opportunity for you to, you won't even be thinking about it. There is no opportunity for you to think about how to arrange your life, right? Where will my children go to school? How will I spend my time? What should I be doing? What should I eat? What kind of food should I eat? And how much money should I earn, right? So everything is governed by this concept of dharma. If this concept is clear in your mind, very clear in your mind, and that is what you want to attain, right? That is what we are all running after. Then you will know that whatever we have been talking about in all these sessions, they all have a profound impact on this ultimate concept of dharma, right? So from the things we have talked so far, like the food we eat, meditation, how we interact with other people, to how we can organize ourselves as a society, to how we can structure everything in life, right? Everything uh, everything is governed by this concept of dharma, right? So this concept of dharma will guide our, it will guide our entire life. It guides every aspect of our life, right? uh, so human beings having within them this both the qualities of animal dharma and human dharma. So when I say human beings have this animal dharma, I'm talking about the ahara, nidra, bhaya, and maituna, right? Food, sleep, procreation, and fear, right? This is there in animals, and also it's there in human beings. So human beings have two dharmas. We have this animal dharma, and also we have this human dharma. The animality in human beings draws draws them towards the gratification of animal desires. Because of the animal dharma, we are wanting to fulfill our animal desires, right? In terms of all the material things that we want, any object in the world. That is because of the animality in human beings. That is why we are drawn towards material things. But the rationality of our consciousness, right? The rationality of our consciousness remains ungratified, because the rationality of the consciousness is seeking something infinite, right? And since all these desires, these material desires, are all transient and short lived, right? They're not everlasting. People are attracted to both, right? We are attracted, we have this infinite desire, we have the desire for the infinite, and also we are, because of the animal dharma, we are also attracted towards the material objects, and we have a duel going on over here, right? So there is a constant duel in human beings between their rationality and their animality, right? This sentence is the crux of the entire matter. There is a constant duel in human beings between their animality and rationality. The duel actually signifies a struggle between the two, right? If someone does not know that there is this struggle, they will not engage in it, right? If they don't know, if they don't engage in the struggle, they will default to the animal nature within them. That is what 99% of human beings do. They don't understand what it means to be a human being. They don't understand that they have two dharmas. They don't understand that the animal dharma is much easier to follow than the human dharma. They don't understand that animal dharma is the known path and human dharma is the unknown path. The known path is always easy, right? So like in life, right, anything that we are very familiar with, we don't have any hesitation to do it. Like the food that we have been eating all these years, if somebody gives it, that we don't have any hesitation, we eat it, right? Because it is a known thing. So we always have an affection towards something known. So in the same way, the animal dharma is known. So all these ages, we have gone through this evolution from animals, from plants to animals, from single celled organism to plants, and plants to animals also different kinds of animals. So we don't know like what kind of birth we have taken in the past. We have gone through this evolution, and with struggle we have now attained this human birth, right? Even though we have attained this human birth, but we for ages we have been animals and we have been other creatures, right? So we have that dharma within us, and that because of that dharma we are being pulled towards all these material objects. We are wanting more and more of these material objects, right? That is the known path. But then when you come to understand that you have this human dharma within you, right, then when your inner eyes are open, then you start, you make efforts to move in that direction. Then you struggle between both these, the human dharma and the animal dharma, right? So people who don't realize this human dharma, what they do is they're only attracted towards food, fancy clothes, house, and all material things, and it seems to them that it is giving them some satisfaction. So they go running towards those things, whatever it may be. You can see it, like if people go to the malls and they're just so attracted, they like to shop, they like to do things, right? So everybody is busy running in those directions, right? So in any country, in any climate or culture, you look anywhere and everybody is running towards the animal desires. Somebody, like you just go outside, just for the sake of it, just go outside, and you don't do anything, just observe the people around you. You see that everybody is running after material pursuits, right? Everybody is running in that direction. Why is it? Because why are they following the animal desires? Because they have this animal dharma within them, right? And because of the animal dharma, they are wanting all these limited things. Animals get satisfied by limited things, right? And human beings who understand what their human dharma is, will never be satisfied by the limited things, right? Not understanding that they have an infinite desire, they go on trying to satisfy that infinite desire within them, even though they are not aware of it, through the limited things. So because of that infinite desire within them, they are applying that infinite desire to finite things, right? And they're applying to the finite things, and therefore they're wanting every finite thing in a unlimited number, right? If it is wealth, we want more and more and more and more of it. If it is clothes, we want more and more of it. If it is books, we want more and more of it. So we apply this infinite dharma in every finite thing. That is why we have this desire for more and more and more, right? So there is a struggle, because we have evolved from animals, yet we have become human beings. We have the animal dharma within us, which gives us the attraction to the finite things of the world. So that is what we mean by animal dharma, attraction to the finite things of this world. Human dharma is the attraction to the infinite. So we all know what the term right, quick fix means, right? Quick fix. We tend to run towards things that gives us instant gratification, right? All of that is animal behavior, right? We want easy solutions, right? For anything we want easy solutions. So that is an animal behavior. So if you look at all the people around you in the community, most everybody is engaged in animal life. So you might not even find a single exception. There are very, very rare exceptions in the world at any given time. So the vast majority are engaged in animal life, right? So this is a constant duel, and people don't understand what is going on. So because they don't understand, they don't engage in the struggle, and they just lose the battle. So if you don't fight, you're going to lose the battle. So this is what happens. So everybody is involved in their own way. So some are looking for name and fame, some are looking for money, some for power. So whatever it is they may be looking for. Some people do that through food, some people through other means, right? The examples are numerous, but the vast majority of human behavior is defined by this, and this is animal life. So when we are following the pashu dharma, the animal dharma, then we are human beings outside, but animals inside, right? So those people are animals in the human form and not humans in the human form. So this dual is the main thing. This is the main aspect of human life. So when we talk about whether somebody's eyes have opened or not, we are talking about this sentence, this constant duel in human beings between their animality and rationality. Someone who has awakened to the fact that they have the yearning within them that is not satisfied by the finite things changes everything in their life. They start looking for something different. Up till then, right, in their life, because we are all born as animals. In childhood, everyone is an animal. In teenage years, the mind begins to change. Slowly the mind begins to change. The desire for the infinite arises, and teenagers ask many questions. They ask a lot of questions, right, because their mind is changing. So we are becoming human beings. So if you're given the right opportunity and you come to understand what your dharma is, then people will start taking efforts to go in that direction. That human mind has an infinite desire. So the duel begins at the time between animality and rationality. So those who awaken to the fact of this duel engage in it. So when they engage, they become victorious. So every human being has the ability to realize this duel within them and to become victorious in the struggle to make the human a dominant in life, right? Everyone can become victorious without exception. But because people do not understand that there is duel, they don't engage in it. So by default, they fall into the animal life. This is a very, very crucial thing. This is a very crucial thing. So uh, everything that we are doing, all the things, the food, the environment, all these things are creating a groundwork for human dharma to become victorious within human being. The sattvic ahara, sattvic environment, satsang, having proper company, not spending time with people stuck in animal life. We can spend time with them to teach them about the human dharma and serve them if they lack food or clothing by doing service, right? We must do that. But in our free time, spending time with people engaged in animal life will actually drag us down, right? So we should be engaged in uplifting them, those who are engaged in animal dharma, but we should not let ourselves get degraded, right? If we have the strength to raise the interaction standard, then we talk about the human dharma and engage in the discussions of yoga, then that person also benefits from the interactions, and our mind will also not be dragged down. But if we see that our mind is getting dragged down by the interactions with them, then such as going to restaurants or discussing crude things, then we should not waste our time. We should avoid those things, right? So thus there is a constant duel in humans between their animality and rationality. So that governs the program of human life. It determines whether someone will become a human in human form or animal in human form. So that is the entire story in nutshell, right? How all this plays out requires more discussions, which we will be talking about in our further sessions. So now we can just move on to the next paragraph. Hamsini Bhagini, do you want to take the next one?
The degree of divinity in human beings is indicated by their clearly reflected consciousness. Every human being having evolved from animals has therefore two aspects: the animal aspect, the conscious aspect which distinguishes a person from animals. Animals display predominantly the animality, while humans, being due to a well-reflected consciousness, also possess rationality. The animality in human beings gives them a leaning towards animal life or physical enjoyment. They, under its influence, look to eating, drinking, and gratification of other physical desires. They are attracted towards these and run after them under the influence of their animality, but these do not provide happiness as their longing for, for it is infinite. Animals are satisfied by these limited enjoyments as their urge is not infinite. However, the large quantity of things offered to an animal may be, it will only take those which it needs and will not bother for the rest. But humans will certainly act differently in these conditions. This only establishes that animals are satisfied with the limited, while the desire of human beings is limitless. Although the desire for enjoyment is in both prompted and governed by the animal aspect of life, the difference between the two is due to the possession by the human being of a clearly reflected consciousness, something which animals lack. The infinite nature of the human urge for absolute happiness is due to their consciousness alone. It is the consciousness alone which is not satisfied with the human pleasure of possession.
Physical pleasure of
Power,
possession.
physical, physical pleasure of possession, and power and position. Things which in spite of their huge proportions are only transitory in character. It is their consciousness which creates in human beings the longing for cosmic entity.
Bagini?
Yeah,
Yeah, can you explain what you
oh,
understood?
I was on mute.
Yeah, yeah.
The degree of divinity in human beings is indicated by their clearly reflected consciousness. Every human being, having evolved from animals, has therefore two aspects: the animal aspect. I think so. In a human being, there's two aspects. One comes from the animal nature, which is the desire for worldly possession, and there's another aspect which distinguishes us from animals, which is rationality. The animality in human beings gives them a leaning towards animal life or physical enjoyment. They, under its influence, look to eating, drinking, and gratification of other physical desires. They are attracted towards these and run after them under the influence of their animality. But these do not provide happiness, as their longing is for the infinite. So, in the animality aspect of humans, we reach for finite things such as food and water, but for us, it's limited and does not provide happiness. And the ultimate thing that provides happiness is the infinite.
Mm-hmm.
Animals are satisfied with these limited enjoyments as their urge is not infinite. However large the quantity of things offered to an animal may be, it will only take those which it needs and will not bother for the rest. But humans will certainly act different in these conditions. This only establishes that animals are satisfied with the limited, while the desire of human beings is limitless, although the desire for enjoyment in both is prompted and governed by the animal aspect of life. So for animals and humans, the one thing does not that is similar for both of them is that their desire for worldly possessions comes from their animal aspect, and an animal finds fulfillment within worldly possessions. It has the ability because, for example, if an animal was given a certain amount of things, it would only take the amount that is needed and not the rest. Meanwhile, humans, their desire is really big, so they take much more potentially. Um, The difference between the two is due to possession by the human being of a clearly reflected consciousness, something which animals lack. I think so. The thing that is differentiates animals and human beings is the consciousness, I believe.
Clearly reflected consciousness.
Yeah. Um, the infinite nature of a human urge for the absolute happiness is due to their consciousness alone. It is the consciousness alone which is not satisfied with the physical pleasure of possession, power, and position, things which, in spite of their huge proportions, are only transitory in character. So the other aspect of a human being would be their consciousness, and it is the only reason why our desire for the cosmic entity exists.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, nicely said, Bhakti. Beautiful. Yeah. So yes. So as we were talking about that, that human beings have a clearly reflected consciousness. So this has to be understood very clearly. What is clearly reflected consciousness? So as I was giving you the example of the puddle of water, right? So on a full moon night, if the water is clear, then the moon's reflection is fully seen on the puddle of water, right? So like that, human beings have a mental plate. We have the mind, and in human beings, the consciousness, right, the chaitanya, that cosmic entity, is clearly reflected on the mental plate. If the mind is clean, right, then the cosmic entity is fully clearly reflected, and because of that clearly reflected consciousness, we are able to seek seek that entity, seek that cosmic entity, right? Human beings, we have evolved from animals, so we have two aspects. We have the animal aspect, and also we have the human aspect, right, which is the human dharma. We have both the dharmas, and right, and whereas the animals, they have only the animal dharma. So we have the human dharma, which is the unique aspect, which distinguishes from the animals, right? So the animals, they do not have clearly reflected consciousness, right? Unlike human beings, animals do not have clearly reflected consciousness, and therefore all their desires are limited. They get fully satisfied with limited things. They get fully satisfied with food, water, nidra, sleep, procreation. They are completely satisfied with all those limited things, right? But human beings, we are never satisfied, right? So no matter how much we get, we want more. The animal dharma in human beings makes us lean towards these physical enjoyments, right? So therefore we also have this infinite desire, and we also have this human animal dharma. So what we do is that we apply that infinite desire to the finite things. Therefore we start looking for gratification from food, drink, and any other physical object, right? So we keep running after those objects, and we get influence from them, and as a result we do not get the lasting happiness that we are looking for, because our longing is for the infinite, right? So animals are satisfied with limited things, but their urge is not, animals, their urge is not infinite, but our urge is infinite. So that is why what happens is that no matter what we get, we never get satisfied, right? So we are looking for something more than just the physical enjoyment. That is the clear distinction between the animals and human beings. The human beings have the clearly reflected consciousness, and that is why we seek the infinite, right? We have this urge to seek that infinite entity. So it is this consciousness alone which is not satisfied with the physical pleasure, possession, or things, right? Because all these things are transient in nature, right? So it is the consciousness which creates in human beings the longing for the cosmic entity. Because we have the clearly reflected consciousness, that is why we have the longing for the infinite entity. So that is what it says. So human beings have a highly reflected consciousness, and with such a faculty, it becomes their duty to utilize it to reach their potential. All other beings have no option but to follow their dharma. A cat follows the cat dharma and cannot behave like a dog, and a dog cannot behave like a cat. Elephants behave like elephants, and trees behave like trees. So they don't have any option, but they have to follow their dharma. But human beings, we have the option, because we have two dharmas, the animal dharma and the human dharma. We have the option whether we want to choose the animal dharma or the human dharma, right? So those people whose eyes have opened, they will actually choose the human dharma. Those people whose eyes have not opened, they will continue to follow the animal dharma, and sometimes degrade themselves to be worse than animals. So that is what they're talking about, animals in human form. They are animals in human form. Okay. So so this is what I want to actually conclude the session over here. Any questions so far? Okay. Okay, तर्हि धन्यवादाः, नमस्कारः. I will see you in the next class.
धन्यवादाः भगिनी. हैप्पी दिवाली भगिनी. दिवाली
धन्यवादः.
शुभकामनाः.
धन्यवादः भगिनी. नमस्कारः.